Hey everyone, you have heard the saying before, if a tree falls in the woods and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, what about a product launch that no one buys up immediately? It's the same idea. You've poured your heart and sweat and tears into something amazing and launched it to complete silence. No one wants that. So, how can you generate interest and buy in ahead of your launch to ensure a highly successful launch day? Well, that's what we're talking about today. This is WP Product Talk, a place where every week we bring you insights, product marketing, business management and growth, customer experience, product development, and more. It's your go-to podcast for WordPress product owners by WordPress product owners. And now, enjoy the show. Welcome, Katie.
Welcome to WP Product Talk. I'm Katie Keith from Bantu Plugins.
And I'm Matt Cromwell from Stellar WP.
So today we're talking about pre-launch marketing and why it's important for product owners. And to do that, we've got a really great guest who is doing exactly that at the moment and has generated quite a stir in the WordPress industry and got everybody talking. So we've got Kevin Geary on. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
And welcome to the show.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
For everyone's sake, do a quick introduction. Let us know who you are and what you do.
I'm Kevin Geary. I'm a WordPress educator. I have a YouTube channel with hundreds of hours of free content on web design best practices and the latest in workflows and techniques and tactics. I'm a former agency owner. I have a software company that focuses on WordPress plugins and product development. That's kind of it. I'm from Atlanta and got a wife and three beautiful girls.
Awesome. Love it. And today we do want to talk about this whole idea of building, I've been saying building hype around a launch, a product launch, or just building a lot of interest so that when you hit the ground running on day one, you get a bunch of purchases instead of a bunch of silence. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. But what drew my attention is that you're doing it right now, and you're actually doing it today. Your very first video of Etch WP, I'm saying Etch WP. Etch WP is going out tonight, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, we're about a little less than 9 hours away.
Nice.
Wow.
Amazing that you're here and not sweating bullets or anything. So
we got all the prep work done. I think we're good to go.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been kind of saying is like the elephant in the room. The launch of Etch, or the pre-launch of Etch, the marketing and the tactics that you've been employing have been a little bit controversial among the WordPress space, among our audience. I mean, we're trying to talk to WordPress product owners out there, and they're responding to the tactics in a little bit of a mixed fashion, I have to say. Some of them are saying it's really overly aggressive. Some of them don't love the fact that nobody knows what the heck Etch is. Like, what are we buying into in the first place? I'd love to hear just a little bit of your take on two things. One, just like, how are you responding to some of that pushback or feedback? And the second is going to lead into the rest of the conversation, which is, why did you choose this more, let's call it secretive route for launching Etch?
Yeah, so I think first of all, let's put it in context. There are some people that are voicing their opinion, saying that's controversial, things like that. I would say, based on the emails that I'm getting, based on the DMs that I'm getting, based on what's happening in our inner circle and on my YouTube channel, it's 95% positivity and excitement. It's 5% detractors. I've always been, very adamant about, and I'm used to this on my channel. I turn on video on YouTube, and essentially, and I do this live every single week. I do pre-recorded videos, but they're really the same thing. I turn on a camera, I record, I end the recording, I do hardly any editing whatsoever, and I publish the video. So when I do videos, they're not hyper polished videos. They're me. They're my personality. And I've said many times, like, I'm not for everybody. I wish I was, but it's just impossible to be for everybody. And so there's always going to be a percent of detractors in any situation. It doesn't actually matter if you do everything by the book and you check every box and you try to please everybody, you'll still have detractors. It's just impossible to not have any detractors. So what I've learned is you just can't worry about the detractors all that much. And you focus on the people that are behind you and that are supporting you and that want what you are doing.
Yeah.
Are you
Absolutely.
sure it's impossible not to have detractors, or is that just the way
100%
you're doing it?
I'm 100% positive. It is impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, you are intentionally doing things to get people's emotions. For example, the video, Dear WordPress, I think it was called, which talked about some, in my opinion, very valid concerns about the way WordPress is going, made some very valid points about what you thought should be done, like a moratorium, or I think that's the right word, on development except for UI. Like, say, stop adding new features, focus on UI for a year. Lots of people agree with that. But then people got upset because, and I commented on this on Twitter as well, because at the end it turned into a sales pitch. And I'm like, hang on, I thought this was Kevin's genuine opinion. And now I don't trust it as much because he's linked it to the launch of Etch. And so maybe it's the way you're doing things, which definitely generates hype. But that might be why there are 5% detractors.
I think people naturally, and I don't blame them for doing this. I think it's perfectly normal. They take the baggage from other marketers and put it on the next one, right? That comes down the pike. So, for example, you said it's the video is a sales pitch at the end. It's actually not a sales pitch at the end. It's just an invitation to come to a special event. And the sales pitch will be in the special event, and people will get to decide what, I see. Here's the thing. I've told my team this. I've told everybody that's asked me about this. I don't need everybody to buy. I don't want everybody to buy. I want the people who feel that this is a legitimate product for a legitimate future in WordPress and a legitimate fit for their uses. I'm not trying to get everybody to buy. I want as many people as possible to hear the idea and the concept and make a decision. But I'm not trying to convince everybody to buy it. We already have, I have an inner circle with closing in on 2,000 members. It's a paid community. It's all agency owners and freelancers. The minimum that we needed to move forward, to greenlight this project, to do the rest of the work that we need. It's a massive project, as people are going to see. That was already in the bag before any of this started. I've said many times now, and I think people, they're not missing it, but maybe they don't believe it. Maybe they think, I'm not being honest. But there's two things at play here. One is a product called Etch. The second thing is a much bigger, very important mission within WordPress. And so when I make a video called Dear WordPress, I am not selling people on Etch. I'm selling people on the ideas that I laid out in the video called Dear WordPress. And I put out a game plan, and I 100% believe in that game plan and believe it needs to happen regardless of Etch. Now, Etch fits into that future of WordPress and that game plan. And I think that's natural, because the entire point of product creation is that you're identifying real needs and you're filling those needs with a product or a service. And so for sure, if we've identified major problems, what we've also identified is a major opportunity to solve those problems, and people get a lot of benefit from that. So to me, I'm just doing what is a natural thing of, hey guys, here's the problems I'm seeing. And by the way, it's not just me. Again, thousands of agency owners feel this way. They agree with these things. So let's put it out there. Let's get WordPress moving in this direction. And by the way, I'm going to put up my solution for these things. And other people are also free to put up their solutions as well.
Yeah. I think another aspect that folks have called out that they are a little uncomfortable with is even just the claim, the biggest WordPress product announcement for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's a big, bold claim. And the hardest thing about claims like this is you got to own it after the launch is out there.
Yeah.
And even especially when you choose a more secretive launch strategy and also make a claim like this, it can be an awkward combination. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So if people don't know me and they haven't used my products, and they see, there's context of do you know the person? We're in marketing, like we know it's no like trust, right? If you don't know like trust somebody, then you're naturally defensive. You're wary of what they're saying, and people have, again, this is baggage from other people. People have made gigantic bold claims before and then not followed through with them, and you're looking at their track record instead of looking at my track record. My track record is, this is not my first rodeo. My track record is, we have a flagship product called Automatic CSS. It's the number one in its category, and it has, it's not arguable at this point. It has fundamentally changed how people use frameworks in WordPress, how frameworks can work for the user. It has actually transformed people's workflows tremendously. We're doing, and people that haven't used it or seen it, you can't understand. And I understand that you can't understand without seeing it or doing it or living it. But what they can look at is, oh, okay, this isn't a guy with 0 products. This isn't a guy who just showed up. This is a guy that has produced hundreds of hours of content. He does live streams every single week. He has a flagship product that's very successful and has fundamentally transformed people's workflows. He has another product that's also number one in its category. He has an inner circle full of 2,000 paid agency owners and free. There's got to be something there. Like, these are what I say context clues as to, okay, maybe I should listen and not immediately outright reject what I'm seeing and hearing. And again, there's a lot of people commenting very positively who people can listen to as well. It's not just me.
I like that concept of context clues. I think that's an important one. We should lean in on that a little bit when we get into the meat and potatoes of this later. But we got you got a couple fans here in the comments here too. Mark here saying it's verifiably, absolutely, positively impossible to please everyone. And right before that, he definitely is like, KG, Hyper Beast, fire. So you definitely got some fans here as well. But Katie, we got another good comment, right?
Yep. So Blake Whittle has asked, for those that don't have as large of a following, how do you generate hype? And I think that's a really fair question, because a lot of pre-launch marketing does rely on an existing audience. And Kevin, you've just talked about your credentials. So a lot of people watching this haven't got an existing audience. So let's talk a bit about other examples of pre-launch campaigns that have been done for WordPress products. And some of those might have existing followings and others don't. So I'll start with one which somebody that didn't have particularly large following, which was actually published a few years ago, but it's just such a good article that I still refer to it regularly, which is an article on the Freemius blog. We'll need to put it in the show notes, which Vito Peleg did, about how to have $100,000+ WordPress product launch. And this is from when WP Feedback, which is now called Atarim, was originally launched. So that tells you this was a while ago. But everything in it is totally valid. And this is a really long article, and he talks in detail about how he launched WP Feedback. And this was his first WordPress product. I think they were an agency before that, doing like web design projects. And therefore he had some following, but really he was solving a pain point that he knew about from his own work with clients. So he'd come up with this unique product idea that he was going to introduce. But the strategies that he mentions in this article on the Freemius blog are things like raising awareness through word of mouth and that sort of thing. And he built some quite cool things like different groups of pre-launch people that wanted to beta test the products. And he called them, he had special names for different categories of pre-launch marketing customers. And I thought that his strategy outlined there in much more detail than what I've said was really useful. But the other thing I liked about it was that in contrast to Kevin's, which is like, let's get people excited without knowing what the product does, Vito focused on exactly the benefit to agencies, which was, are you fed up with your clients having to send a million emails telling you different things in problems with the website you've built for them and giving feedback? Are you fed up with Google Docs and getting all confused? So he'd found a problem and was promising a solution and getting people excited on the specifics, which I really like. So Matt, do you want to share your example next? It says the opt-in, or is that Kevin's opt-in email?
Oh no, yeah, I wanted to highlight a little bit of what Kevin is doing. One reason why I personally I do like the um you can't wait to see what's coming next approach. Let's say like the secrecy approach or the like it's coming later approach. I personally like it. And it to me it just appeals to me because I'm like I am interested. I want to know, and I love the whole idea of being in on like I'm on the inside track. You're giving me a front seat to something that's maybe a little bit exclusive. Is that I'm gonna share just your first email after you sign in, but is that a little bit? Tell me a little bit about your thought when you were developing this strategy. Was that what you were thinking, or why specifically did you choose it to be this strategy?
Yeah, it's not the tactic that people think that it is. Like this, I wouldn't say that this has been a tactical secrecy. Like let's keep all the details from them because that will build so much hype. Imagine if we just don't tell them what it is. How much hype will that build? Like I think that's what people think happened, right? That's it. That didn't happen. First of all, there's a lot of work that has to be done in a launch. There's a lot that has to be done in a launch of this size and this magnitude and this scope and this importance that goes into a launch like this. And that takes time. It takes time to do all of that. Now you can do that work in the dark, or you can do that work in public, right? And so as I'm doing the work behind the scenes, I'm also talking about what we're doing. Now, this is, when you're going to come in and legitimately you're going to introduce a concept that is shifting the ecosystem, that is introducing a new era in WordPress. And again, don't put other people's baggage on my statements about it. If we're introducing a new era, a lot of people are going to get moved around. Okay. A lot of other players that are already in the ecosystem. They have a lot of these people have a lot more money than me, by the way, and way bigger teams than I do. And so the idea that if we're going to come in with these ideas that we're bringing to the table and just give them a gigantic head start before we even get a chance to get our thing off the ground, like that's not a winning. Like I got to play into winning situations, right? It's also a major product. This is not a product where you write up a landing page and then send it to people, or you write up an email and you send it to somebody. What I would compare this to, and all of my agency owner and freelancer people out here know this, like this would just not be smart. It would not be smart to, you get on the discovery call with the client. You talk with them for 15 minutes and they say, hey, I got to run, send me a proposal. And so you go and you write up this huge proposal, all of these details and everything, and then you send it over to them. I've done many, many agency sales training videos. This would be the number one thing that you never, ever, ever do. Why? Because the client opens that, they skim through it, they don't digest anything, they don't really understand anything that you're saying. They look at the number at the bottom, they make a rash decision, and then they're like, okay, whatever, we'll hear from somebody else, right? If you want to close the deal, then you get them on the call and you make sure that you're having a real conversation with them and you're going through the details in person and you're hearing their objections and their feedback. And that's the situation that you have to create when it's a complex project. You can't just give them a brochure to glance over. That's not going to be the situation that's needed for either one of you. And I want to tie this in also to when you're building something that you truly believe in and that you truly feel is important, you have a duty to sell it. You have a duty to get as many people as possible to know about it. If I was starting a feed the homeless shelter in a specific city, and I legitimately believe in that mission, I should be doing whatever I can to convince every single person. I'd be telling the stories of the people that I'm helping. I do whatever I need to do to make sure that I bring enough attention to that thing. Otherwise, it's going to die and nobody is going to get helped. That's exactly what we're looking at in terms of those kinds of situations. So people will criticize marketing. Oh, look at all the attention he's getting. Look at the attention. Of course, I 100% believe in this thing and I believe in what it can do. It's my job to get the attention. That's what I have to do.
Yeah. No, I sympathize with that. I mean, I have done many a product launch where I wish I was drawing more attention.
Yeah,
And
because
honestly,
there's a
sometimes that's the reality of it is like, are you actually drawing the attention or not? And honestly, negative press is still press, and that can sometimes be beneficial as well. And I don't hear anybody out there saying things that are like detrimental to your launch in any way. They're
yeah.
just critical of maybe this isn't the best tactic, in their mind. I will say, like, from this email, that what I really like about it, is the way in which you're drawing people in, and saying like, hey, this isn't for everybody. This is, we have it's limited. I think that that's a really important tactic, and it's also like, you're not going to get a recording later. You're going to attend the thing, or you're not going to be there, and that's about it. The exclusivity aspect of what you're doing, I think, is brave, honestly, because a lot of folks are more desperate to make sure that they get 1,000 attendees. Like,
Yeah,
give
but
me
that's
100
fake
attendees.
scarcity, isn't it? Because 1,000 is
It
a
could
very
be.
high number. It's like when we say on Black Friday or something, the first 500 of these will get a discount, and we know that only 50 people will use the code or something. So I hope you get 1,000, but
No, no,
it's
no.
a
It's
good
not. Well,
psychological
no,
tactic.
no. There's going to, first of all, we had to pay extra to increase it to 3,000 because I didn't want anybody to try to get it. Legitimately, people were not going to get in. People were not going to get it. I mean, we can look at the waiting list. Like, it's, it's obvious that people are not going to get in. And I can't, there's an event that's not even, that is not even talked about in these emails, that other people who are already in my inner circle, they already know that is already like over the cap. So, and like I said before, this has already been in the bag before any of this started. We have to go back to the fact that there is a legitimate mission that I am on in WordPress, and it is way, way, way bigger than Etch. And everything that I'm doing is about a long game. It is not about tonight. It is not about the live stream tomorrow. It is about the next 3 to 5 years inside of WordPress. Tonight is just this. Actually, it's not even the start of that. I started a couple years ago. I told people 2 years ago, I'm just warming up. Automatic CSS was a warm up. Frames was a warm up. Okay. We're just getting started. We are on a real mission to create real change in this ecosystem. And we've already done it to a large degree, but that's just the start of what's about to happen. So none of that is hype. People were not going to be able to get in. I paid extra to increase the limit to make sure that, because I didn't want, if there was 5 people that didn't get in, even just 5, some people would say, hey, let's 5 people, whatever. I didn't want the negativity from those 5 people. So I just said, let's just increase it. Right. And I've also said, I've underestimated every single launch that we've done. When we did automatic CSS, the very first launch, I was like, all right, maybe we'll sell 100 licenses. That was 300 licenses. I said, then, and that was the pre-sale for it. I've done the same process for every single product, by the way. And then, so automatic CSS, the next launch, I was like, maybe we'll do 250, 500 somewhere. No. It's way, way beyond that. And so I tend to be more conservative, and I underestimate things. So I was like, I think, when you're choosing Zoom webinar packages, which, by the way, they're not, it's kind of, it's not a lot of money compared to like what you're going to get in the launch. But still, I'm looking at it as I have to manage the money of this project. It's an expensive project. I would love that extra $800 from Zoom to put into the project to give to one of my developers, right? And so I was like, maybe we can get away with the 1,000 cap, because you have to choose. You have to say how many people are going to be allowed in. And so I bought the 1,000, and I was like, let's try to make it do with that. We got multiple events. We're good. And then it became very clear leading up to it, that's not going to work. And so we paid the extra. We made it 3,000 because I do legitimately want everybody to get in. Now, I don't legitimately want everybody to be able to get the LTD offer. Like I want to cap that. You have to cap that. It wouldn't be smart to just let everybody have that. It is a special thing to have. So that's not fake scarcity. That is built in, like, just, financial security of the project. Because I've said many times, LTDs are great as a initial deal, and then you got to shut them off as fast as you possibly can, or at least, like I do with automatic CSS, you offer a hybrid approach.
Nice. No, I agree. I think I do share Katie's skepticism a bit about some of the tactics, about the ability to generate all these things, but I love the audacity. That's the thing. I love the passion about it because honestly, I talk with too many WordPress product owners who are like, yeah, we're going to write some blog posts and we're going to send some emails and I hope it goes well. And I'm like, that's not going well. Like,
Right.
not with that
Right.
attitude, it's not
Well,
going
yeah, that's what I
well.
was going to say earlier. There's a graveyard. Like people look at what's going on right now in the ecosystem and, ooh, this launch coming up. What they always forget to bring into the context is there is a literal graveyard of thousands of plugins and themes and products that never got anywhere close to making it. And why didn't they? I mean, for various reasons, right? But you're not going to catch me in that graveyard. Like especially if I believe in my thing, you're not going to catch me in that graveyard. Okay. So, people can criticize, but what they also have to look at is results,
Yeah. The other one that I say to folks all the time is like, we can criticize all we want, but the truth is, I know that I am not your customer. Me personally, I know I'm not.
Yeah, you might
You're
be.
speaking
You
to a
might be. You need to
specific.
come to the live stream. You might be.
I mean, I signed up for it. I don't know if I'll get in. I might be one of those 5.
No, you'll get in. You'll
But
get in.
but the thing is, like, you're speaking to a specific audience, a specific segment.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Mark in the comments here is one of your biggest fans. And they love it. They're eating it up. And that's what really matters, and that goes back to your original comment about like, there are going to be naysayers. And my only caveat to there are always going to be naysayers is that naysayers usually still have a pretty strong gram of truth in what they're saying, even if their naysaying comes across overly negative or even a little biting. Even there's still something there. There's something there. I never like dismissing feedback. I think feedback is feedback all the time, but that's another subject for another topic. Let's bring up Mark's comment here because this segues really nicely over to another product launch we want to talk about. Mark says there's 2 options: build your own audience or partner with and pay influencers to do it for you. I mean, that goes to that answering that question earlier from Blake. What do you do if you don't have a large following? Well, you try to get in with somebody who does have a large following. Katie has a specific example about that one.
Yeah, I really love that as well because it touches on something we talked about 2 weeks ago with Vova Feldman, where we were talking about the content side of things and what should actually ex-Envato sellers do if they don't have a following. They've always sold on Envato. They want to set up their own website and sell independently. How do they do that? And we did talk about, well, maybe you partner with somebody who can do that and or like affiliates or whatever sort of partnership. But the example we were going to share today is the launch of Orderable, which I think was in late 2020, which was at the time a partnership between James Kemp from Iconic and Adam Preisler from WP Crafter. And James wanted to do this product, and he had a successful company, but he wasn't a big marketer in the sense that someone like Adam is, who has a very large personal following, who will basically buy whatever they recommend. So that was a really good partnership because Adam did a lot of pre-launch marketing about on his YouTube channel and got people really interested in Orderable and the benefits of it. And so when it actually came out, people were really excited. It was at the height of the pandemic when restaurants were suddenly having to sell online for the first time. Although I realize Orderable is not just for restaurants these days, it's just local ordering and things. And they sold $100,000 in their first month. Like Kevin mentioned, that was largely lifetime sales. And I really love that strategy because you don't, like Kevin said, you don't want lifetime to be a big part of your ongoing revenue. You want that annual subscription or monthly or whatever your business model is. You want recurring revenue. But when you're still getting that trust and you need early adopters, you need testimonials, people to create a buzz around your product, lifetime is a great idea. And so Adam did that really well. And they had a really successful launch for that reason. And another thing they did that I really like is that it was only a minimum viable product at that stage. So they sold it based on future features, saying things like coming soon, this new feature. And so people would buy now in the promise that that feature would be added in the future so they could get those sales even though they hadn't done the full development work yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a very smart way to do things. It's a smart approach to, first of all, if people haven't done product launches before, they don't have a lot of the knowledge context that leads you to make certain decisions that you make. Okay. There have been a lot of people who have done launches, and they're like, here are my promises, right? What they do though, they think they're being fair, and they think they're being, I don't know, I don't even know what to call it. Everybody seems like it's, nothing unethical is being done, right, in any of this process. But they'll essentially tell people what they're going to build. They'll give all of the details, and then they just want people to essentially say like yay or nay. And they get a lot of people that are like, yeah, that's all. Oh, yes. Oh, I'm totally in. Yeah, that's an amazing idea. And then so they're like, oh, okay, look at all this great feedback. And then they go out and they put all this money and all this time and they build this thing. And then you know what? They show back up and they go, all right, guys, I did it. And then it's crickets. And suddenly nobody can find their wallet. Imagine that, right? And so how many people has that happened to? That's an awful, awful situation to be in. Most product creators have probably been in that at some point if they've made that mistake. And so what do they do next? Then the next product creator or that same one comes along the next time. He's like, you know what I learned from that? What I'm actually going to do is let people vote with their dollars. And so I'm going to say, hey, here's my idea. Here's what I'm going to build. If you actually like it, get your wallet out now, right? Because I'm not going to take all the risk. I'm not going to do all of the work and on a promise, right? I want you to pay with your dollar. I want you to vote with your dollar. Then I take that dollar and I can actually build the feature, and then we can be successful together and we can have an awesome thing, right? So it is a way to share the risk. There's risk on both sides. There's massive risk to the developer. There's risk to the early adopter as well. And so I've always said that risk should be shared. It shouldn't be on one or the other to take on all the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that because it is a thing, definitely, as you say, that people get all excited or they say they are. But then when the product actually comes out, they've moved on or they didn't mean what they said or they end up not buying. And I've heard a good strategy which Lifter LMS do in their pre-launch marketing, which is they actually take the money before the product exists. And that's very similar to what you're saying, Kevin. Well, get your wallet out if you're so interested. So
But people will criticize that. They will criticize that if you try to ask them that, there's that criticism floats around. Oh, they want money for something that's not even there. That's how software should be developed. It should not be developed any other way.
Yeah, it's like taking the whole pre-launch mailing list another step. You actually take the sale. They sell on WooCommerce and they just wrote some custom code so that they could do a pre-sale discount, take the sale, get the money. But the first renewal wasn't till a year after the launch. So customers were happy with that. And the exact date didn't matter too much. And Chris says that they've made over $100,000 in sales from pre-selling where they actually received the money. I don't know why all my examples are $100,000, but that seems to be the goal for pre.
Sounds like a good relative guess.
Yeah, that's 3 examples.
Saying 93,000 is just not impressive enough. So
rounds up.
Let's talk a little bit about some pros and cons. Again, about the specific different ways of transparency or some secretiveness. Kevin, what's your take, like in terms of like, again, being a little bit more secretive about the approach? Like, do you anticipate already a little bit of cons, not in terms of like the folks who have criticized it publicly, but even among the folks who are who signed up and things? What if, I mean, the immediate one that comes to my head is that you do launch the video and they are like, well, this isn't what I signed up for. And so can you speak a little bit to that? Like, what kind of cons do you see in this tactic that you've taken?
Are you referring to the Dear WordPress video that wouldn't resonate with them, or?
No, your videos that are launching tonight, the first one tonight and the next several days, like they get to the big reveal because they don't know what's coming exactly, right. They get to the big reveal and they're like, no, this isn't at all what I signed up for. That would be one con in my mind to this tactic.
Well, I know my audience. I know my target, right? So and this is why I do day in and day out. I know exactly what they want. I know exactly what they're looking for. I know exactly what their challenges and struggles are. So I'm fairly confident, right? And other people behind the scenes have seen the live stream already. The deck, and it's 100% live. It's not a series of videos or anything like that. I'm doing every single one of them live myself. Like that's just how I do things. So, like I said before, there's going to be 5% of people that detract. Let's be clear too. There's a lot of people who they don't like me for whatever reason. They don't like my personality for whatever reason. They're not. There's a lot of people in life that aren't intellectually honest. They will come to the live stream already ready to discount everything, and then regardless of how impressive or industry changing or great the ideas are or the concepts are, and regardless of how many people love it and are excited about it and buy into it, they will still run to social media and go, oh, this is all hype for nothing. Oh, this is nothing. But they're not actually being a truthful, honest, serious person. There's that going on too. And so you have to judge everybody by the individual. And I also, I don't tend to try to guess their motivations for, why they're talking that way or why they're doing those things. But again, I've already chalked it up to it, 5-10%, whatever. We already hit our goal. We already are accomplishing the mission that we set out to do. We're already confident in what's going to happen over the next 1 to 3 years. I don't need everybody. I need my target, and I already have my target. So that's why I'm able to be confident. It's already in the bag. It's already done.
Yeah, no, like I said, I appreciate the confidence. I'll just say from a customer perspective, or customer experience perspective, kind of that's my primary modus operandi all the time. I can know my customer as well as I possibly can know and still get it wrong. Like there's so many ways in which like you can get there, finally get it out there, and they're just like, no, this is a miss. Like that's the one aspect of the way that you're going about it that I'm kind of like, there still could be a sense in which you might lose more people than you think.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to.
I'm with you on the confidence side right now.
Here's the thing: is I said the other day on Twitter, I said I don't miss. But here's the reality:
well, everyone misses. Just like there's always naysayers, everyone misses.
Exactly. And if it should happen, I am okay with taking an L, and saying, hey, I took an L on that, and then regrouping and pivoting and coming back stronger next time. That's process of life, right? Same thing when I coach my daughter's softball team. It's like, look, we're going to go into it thinking we're going to win every game and wanting to win every game, right? But if you lose, what you do is you learn from that and you come back stronger next time. You take that back into practice or whatever. So in the case that it may be, again, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it did, I would be totally fine just turning on the camera and being like, guys, I took an L, there was a misstep somewhere. I got to go back and reevaluate. And I would be perfectly honest about that too. Because like you said, even on the downswing, even on the downsides or even on negative press, there's still value to find in that. And there's still positivity that can come from that. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not in fear of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots to learn from failures to make us stronger. I mean, it sounds so super cheesy, but it absolutely is the case. This is a good comment from Andrew Palmer. Why shouldn't the developer take the risk? I mean, this goes back to what you were saying about shared risk aspect. Car manufacturers, supermarkets, and house builders take the risk. Why not? So you weren't saying, I'll just clarify. You weren't saying that the developer shouldn't take the risk. You were saying it should be some shared risk. And honestly, even if it's shared risk, the development, I mean, for our serious product, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of development costs into a product that makes $0 until the launch. Right. That's a ton of risk.
Oh, yeah.
And then the consumer, the only risk they do is maybe if we do any of these tactics, like the one from Lifter LMS, they got a lifetime license deal ahead of the schedule or whatnot. They spent maybe $400, $500 ahead of time, and then it ends up not being what they wanted. That is risk for sure, but it's nothing near the amount of risk that the product team took to get out there. So I'm not seeing it as no risk for the development. It's just like shared risk, right?
Yeah, it's shared risk, but it's not all about risk. So I've said this many times. I feel that another big misstep in product development, and this is how many, maybe we could say most products in the WordPress ecosystem and even outside of the WordPress ecosystem are developed. They're developed in the dark of night by a one-person development team or a very small development team, based on the opinions of the people on that team and of nobody else, with really no user involvement or interaction. And I think that is a massive misstep in product development. I pre-sold automatic CSS and I built it with the participation of the early adopters. Literally every single deliverable. How you guys like this? What do you think about this? Should we make this decision? Not make this decision? Did the exact same thing with frames. Did the exact same thing with the inner circle. It's how things actually. So to me, it's not surprising that it becomes a number one product in its category, because it was built with the participate. Like, it wasn't just my opinions like put out there, thrown up onto VS Code canvas. It's like, we're actually doing this with the early. So if I want to do that process with the early adopters, I need to do it with the people who have bought in. So the people that voted with their dollars also get to help participate in the development of it, and then it's nearly guaranteed to be a success. And it's way more fun too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking to the biggest pro of any pre-launch tactics at all, is basically to get things out there, to get feedback, to inform the development of the product in one form or another. Like, all the different ways in which you can do pre-launch marketing tactics is intended to like seed a little bit of something so that people are like, yeah, I love that. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Even what Katie was saying, highlighting from Vito and WP Feedback, they're flirting things out there and saying, is this the pain point that you have? And customers were like, yes, that's absolutely my pain point. Please solve that for me. That's the biggest pro to this whole thing, including build in public. So Brendan here says, it's a sort of build with me akin to build in public. Gives more respect to both sides, customer and dev, seems to me. Again, speaking back to the idea of shared risk, your comment earlier, bring the folks alongside and be like, let's do this together. You're part of this process in one form or another. I think you lose some of that with this more secretive approach, but you're saying that you also have an inner circle where you're getting the feedback on the inner. So you're kind of trying to have your cake and eat it too, essentially.
Well, I'm playing the long game, and so like, I don't need everybody right now. If you want to, two things. Like, one, let's understand that the money coming in is not going into Kevin's bank account. Like, it's going into our business bank account that is then going right into the hands of hardworking, awesome developers, right? So that should be one thing that's perfectly clear. Two is, there's other kinds of risks you can take. I'm taking a personal risk in putting myself out there and being willing to have people launch these criticisms and think certain ways of me in order to back the product in that way, right? And we care deeply about the people who this product is for, and we want it to be a really awesome, transformative experience for them. So all of the things that we're doing are because we want it to be successful, because we want the people who use it to be successful. Everybody wants to focus on tactics and hype and this and that, and it's really not about any of that. What it is about is a successful product, and the people who are buying it tonight are not buying it based on hype. They are buying it based on track record, and they are buying it based on listening to the actual fundamentals of the product. And the people who are rubbed the wrong way or who say no tonight, I am perfectly okay with that and accepting of that, because I know that 2 years down the line, when it's in a different phase, they're going to come back and they're going to buy it at that point. Or 3 years down the line, they're going to buy it at that point. I don't need them to buy it now. They're going to make that decision. We're going to prove certain things. This happened with automatic CSS. This happened with frames. In fact, I do these things with the understanding that I have gotten hundreds of emails, like with automatic CSS. We did initial offers, like a series of them. And still to this day, I get people emailing me saying, I was an idiot. I should have got it way back then when I said no. Like, I heard about it. I said no. Can I please? They're begging to get back in now, right? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, that was just for those people. So if people want to say no now, I'm perfectly fine with that. We will prove it, and then they'll come back later, and hopefully they won't send me an email, right? But that's just been the process the entire time, and it's just the reality of the situation. And the people who know know, and the people who know are already getting in. And that's all we need right now. That's all we need right now. We'll get the rest later.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about build in public. It's another great tactic for pre-sale launches. And I actually want to hear your take on that if you believe it's a great tactic yourself. There are some really good examples of it. I'll say one thing that we did is when a couple of years ago we decided that we were going to rebrand iThemes. If anybody's been around the WordPress space for a while, iThemes is literally one of the very oldest product brands in WordPress, one of them. And it's been around for forever, and the name sounds like it's been around for forever. And so we felt it was really important that it have a new brand that represented the products that it was actually being really successful with, which were foundational products like security and backups and maintenance. And so but because the iThemes brand has been around for so long and it has a big audience of folks who have been committed to it for more than 10 years, we were like, we need to do this carefully and really make sure to vet however we change this. So we did a rebrand in public approach, not a build in public, but a rebrand in public approach. Talking with the iThemes Academy folks that have been doing things for a long time on the inside, as well as making a lot of public posts about the rebrand effort so that everyone understood and knew what was going on. Did that in the end result in, like, when we were actually live on solidwp.com finally, spoiler alert, it's solidwp, we changed it to solidwp. Did that result in like a big giant launch day sale? Not at all, not necessarily at all. But what it did is it ensured that there was no disruption. And I don't want to make too big of a deal out of it, but there was another giant brand named WooCommerce who recently just kind of rebranded, and they went to woo.com. And that transition was really, really, really bad for them. And I'm not sure if there's parallels there. I know that there are caveats and different details about why that didn't go as well. We also went from one domain to a totally different domain that were very, very distinctly different. So it's not the same thing, but it is really easy for that type of thing to go very badly. So for the whole thing to have gone smooth without disruption, I thought was a good pro and a good way to go. Another one I want to share super quick that I've really enjoyed watching from the outside is Aaron Edwards, who's been a guest on the show before. He's been doing build in public a lot with a product he built called DocSpot. And you'll see him sharing, especially what I love is that he also shares very regularly his bad news. Activation conversion trend is going down, and he's talking about what he's doing about that specifically. He's talking about the ways in which he wins as well. And just doing all of that out in the public. And this is now that everything has been public already for a while, but he was already doing build in public in advance of his launch. And it definitely drew my attention because it was very similar to that same thing that WP Feedback did, where he was asking publicly, hey, do you want to have a chatbot on your website that's informed primarily by your online documentation that you can use for your support? And I was like, I've looked around and everything I've seen is crap. If you could build something that's actually good, that does that really well and is easy to use, and I don't have to get a PhD in AI, then I'll be all in. So he was speaking right to me, and the build in public approach from him worked really well for me in particular, and my team also. So I like build in public a lot. I think it's a great tactic. I don't know, Katie, Kevin, do either of you have comments, feedback, counter perspectives on the build in public?
Yeah, I like it, and I think it can have a lot of value for you, not just for marketing, but in terms of your learning, like how Aaron Edwards got direct feedback from potential users so that could make the product the best it can be and appeal to the target market. My one concern that I've never quite got my head around is that you are giving ammunition to your competitors, almost inviting them to copy you. Does anybody have any advice about that?
That's a good one. I mean, Kevin, you go first.
Yeah, well, so I was just going to say, there's people who might build in public because they legitimately want to share. So like with what Katie just said, I mean, maybe I think there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, use the code, take the code, whatever. That's kind of like maybe the open source philosophy, right? Where it's like, no, the code's not secret. The ideas aren't secret. Like anybody can have them, anybody can use them, that kind of thing. Then there are people who might do build in public, essentially saying like, oh yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like we're open. Look how transparent they are, or we are. But what they're really doing is they're trying to leverage it as a marketing tactic. Like what they're really in for is just the whatever exposure they think they're going to get from building in public. And so there's people that are legitimately doing it. There's people who are doing it as a tactic. And so once again, I'm just using this as an example of you're not going to make everybody happy because anybody can choose to interpret that you're doing that for whichever reason. And it doesn't matter which reason you say you're doing it for. They have their own opinion of you and, oh, I know their real motives, so you just can't, it's kind of, you got to do what you want to do and stick to that.
Yeah. Like any marketing tactic, let's just call it a marketing tactic just to make the conversation easier real quick. Like any marketing tactic, you launch that marketing campaign at the right time, under the right circumstances. And the build in public folks that I've seen that do really well are the ones who time their public work around when the product is ready to start being talked about publicly. So if somebody was doing something really interesting and innovative, and they start doing build in public, most likely they already have a ship date in mind. Most likely they're already like, this is going to be shippable in like 3 months, because having a build in public campaign that goes 9 months, nobody has that attention span. They're not going to stick with you that long. But 3 months, you're going to pull them along. You're going to give them some more. You're going to do a big video half reveal at some point. You're going to have a beta launch that people are going to opt into. Like you're going to keep them going and excited through the whole build in public phase, so that if somebody is like, I want to do that exact thing, well, they're already a year behind because you've been building a long time before you did your build in public approach. So they're going to be way behind by the time they catch up to where you're at on the build.
That would be the tactical build in public approach, right? It wouldn't be that wouldn't be the authentic build in public approach though, right? Like the authentic build in public would be show them everything from day one, show them all the planning, show them the doodles, show them whatever, right? Show them all that stuff. And if it takes 9 months, that's what a real product takes sometimes to get to that point. Show them the whole 9 months. And so, yeah, there's a way to authentically do the entire build in public thing, but then there's a way to make it a tactic where we're like, but I mean, we don't want to really build everything in public, do we? Like, that kind of thing. So, but again, it's up to everybody to make their own decisions on how they want to approach.
Yeah, for sure. Pros and cons. Again, all of them have pros and cons.
Everything's pros and cons.
I think we got to get into best advice to wrap up. But one more quick one I want to mention is there is like a standard tried and true beta campaign as well. That's another way to do pre-launch marketing tactics, is to basically launch to actually launch as a pre-launch. You put something out there that's probably free or really easy, low opt-in, and for people to beat it up and give you feedback in advance. And ideally in that relationship that they're opting into your free option or they're opting into the beta in one form or another, you're also stoking their interest and you're trying to get them more excited about the actual launch, in which you will be asking for them to take out their wallets. And of course, you're going to give them a big discount. Maybe you're going to offer some lifetime deals at that launch. But all of that is precursor to a physical, like, all right, now it's time to buy. I feel like that one's a really safe way to go. I feel like it's tried and true. People have done that quite a bit. And it does tend to result in a lot better day of sales, essentially. None of this, impacts, are you actually going to be successful in the long term? That's a totally different question, totally different episode. But in terms of like actually being successful, feeling successful, having actual sales and revenue on launch day, I think all three of these types of tactics are useful and beneficial, have pros and cons of their own. Wait a second. We got one more interesting comment here. Andrew Palmer. Again, what Katie said is risky, but yeah, just carry on. Is Katie's omnipresence that that I think has resulted in a lot of growth for Barn 2. Katie, I said we might try to make you feel a little bit awkward on the show too. So
Yeah, well, it's interesting because people say I build in public, which isn't even a conscious thing. I don't even build; I'm the CEO.
Mhm.
I use Twitter as an extended mastermind group, and everybody just tells me how to run my business. It's great, and people are like, "Oh, Katie's so open." I'm just asking for help.
Yeah.
So it's quite convenient. So everybody wins because people watch really interesting discussions and things like that. And everybody's kind of part of that discussion and can learn from it. So it works really well, I think, for everybody just to be open about how you're running the business and the numbers when they're good and bad. Like Matt, you were saying about Aaron earlier that he shares when things are bad, and people respect you for that. They don't think less of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the authenticity aspect that
Mm.
Kevin was referencing to. Like, I
Yeah, and
think all of these benefit from authenticity.
for sure. And I think Katie's authenticity comes through, but I guarantee there are going to be people in the back of their mind who are like, oh, she knows the answer to these questions. She's asking these questions so she can get engagement on Twitter. Like, this is I'm telling you, you cannot please everybody. And if somebody does criticize you in that form and you're like, yourself, you're like, no, like legitimately, this is me. This is what I'm doing. This is like, that's authentic. And they're trying to claim that you aren't. It either gets very, very, very frustrating, or you learn that, oh, these aren't serious people and I'm just going to ignore them.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say truthfully, like I pride myself on being extremely approachable, extremely open, and happy to have conversation with everybody. I've had my share of naysayers. They just don't
Yep.
believe a single word I say, and
Yep.
there's nothing I can do to change it. There's plenty of them, so it happens. Like we do every week, I want to wrap us up with best advice. What is our best advice for folks who want to do pre-launch marketing to have a really successful launch? Katie, can you go first? Are you ready to do your best advice?
Yeah, I would say have confidence. Kevin is a wonderful example of this. He believes in his product, he's passionate about it, and he wants to tell the world because he believes it will benefit them. So that kind of confidence will really help you. I like what Matt said earlier about people that just say have a really kind of lukewarm approach to it, and I'm definitely guilty of that myself. You don't have a massive launch when you have that attitude. So have confidence and implement some known marketing psychological strategies. Things like having a scarcity, things like a limited lifetime sale. Lifetime deals are often frowned upon in WordPress, but not so much in terms of the launch. It's generally accepted that that can be an excellent thing for a new product and helps with the scarcity as well and getting people on board early. And consider things like actually letting people buy and pay for the product before you've even launched it, because that can help you with your cash flow. It can get the commitment from people, get them feeding back early. So you've got beta testers and so on. And in addition, it's really great market research because it helps you to prove the credibility of your product and see that people genuinely want it.
Absolutely. I'll follow that up. And I would say very similarly, go big or go home. When it comes to pre-launch marketing, you got to do all the things. And you're always going to be tempted to be like, yeah, I think this is going to be enough. It's not. Like, you're going to do more. You're going to have to send more emails than you feel comfortable doing. You're going to write more blog posts than you think are appropriate. You're going to be loud and obnoxious, and you're going to think that everybody says, just be quiet. I've heard enough about it. That's not the case. You have not reached enough people. You have not knocked on enough doors. There's really, when it comes to getting the word out about something that nobody knows is coming at all, there is no such thing as being too quiet. Excuse me, that's the wrong thing. There's no such thing as being too loud. There it is. Yeah, just get out there, go big or go home. Kevin, wrap us up with your best advice.
Yeah. Well, I think what you guys both said is perfect. It's fantastic and super valuable. I would say let's just button it up with build a product that's worth believing in. right? There's people that go into a market and they look for financial opportunity. What can I sell? What can I sell? What are people going to buy, right? No. Go into the market and understand the people in the market that you're wanting to serve, and build a product that is actually worth getting behind and worth being passionate about and worth getting, because then you'll fight for it. And then everything that you do will be authentic. Now, people may not believe you, but they'll come around. They always come around. But the product that is worth something, that actually has a legitimate mission behind it, that actually has legitimate change and benefits behind it, is always the way to go. If you're thinking money at all, like, oh, what's the financial opportunity, you're already in the wrong direction. Think about the user, think about what they're gonna get from it, and the mission that you're on in that industry, whatever that is.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kevin. This has been a great conversation. Really appreciate your authenticity and openness about everything about Etch. Folks, if you haven't signed up yet, you might be too late, but go check out etchwp.com and see what happens. The videos are going out this week, one of them tonight even. And this is a wrap for us for this season. We have kind of soft seasons. We're going to take a little bit of a break for a few weeks, where all four co-hosts are going to be at WordCamp US. So if you're going to be at WordCamp US, reach out to us. We would love to meet you and say hi, and maybe take a picture or two. We love meeting folks who enjoy our show so much.
Yeah, and thank you to Post Status for being our green room every week. Like, subscribe, find us on wpproducttalk.com, and share your favourite episodes with your colleagues. We'll see you next season.
Bye.
Bye.